Hey everybody, welcome to day 4. If you're wondering if I'm running out of new Lioness shirts to wear in these videos, the answer is no, I have more. I'm gonna have to start digging into my long sleeve collection though. Okay, so today we are talking about urges. I'm gonna try to keep this one short for you guys. I know I went super long yesterday, so I'm sorry. Hopefully you made it through that video. I'm gonna try and get through this one a little faster. So urges, cravings in this context, right? The desire to eat something that you didn't originally intend to eat, typically in response to an emotion. You're restless, you're bored, you're anxious, you're stressed, you're angry. And those emotions, of course, are driven by the thoughts in your head. So there is something called the think, feel, act cycle, which I originally learned from a life coach, super famous life coach named Brooke Castillo, but it's all over the place in different forms with different names. This concept, it's very simple. It's just that your thoughts drive your feelings, which drive your actions. So if you have the thought in your head, pandemic life is hard, you might have the feeling of stress or frustration, and that might cause you to go into the pantry and eat some chips. So that is the pattern, the thought, the feeling, and the action. So how do you interrupt the pattern? That's what we're going to talk about today. That's what you're going to do in your homework. Well, we can try to resist the action. We can say no to the chips without addressing the feeling behind it, but that just kind of leaves us flailing, right, with the feeling, with the emotion, and no coping mechanism to deal with it. Or we can try stop feeling the way we're feeling, because we know it's the feeling that's causing us to want to eat the chips. But how does that work? You can't just tell yourself to stop feeling worried or stressed. It doesn't work. And in fact, the more you tell yourself to stop, the more you're probably going to feel it, right? So that's not going to work. The only thing we actually have control of is our thoughts. So going back one more step, if we can change our thoughts, then maybe we can change our feelings, and maybe we can get to a different action. So looking at your homework for today, it says urges at their core are driven by our thoughts and feelings. The only way to change how we handle urges is to recognize the patterns we've built around them. And the only way to rewrite those patterns is to identify the thoughts and feelings driving them and to come up with a new thought. So guys, I know this sounds super woo. If you haven't heard stuff like this before, you might be kind of rolling your eyes a little bit, because I totally used to roll my eyes at this stuff. But stay with me, because honestly, learning this stuff has completely changed my life. So I think you could get a lot of benefit out of this, even if it sounds dumb right now. Stay with me. So today, we are going to write out patterns kind of around your top 3. Okay, so you need to specifically use the template that's in your homework. It goes when blank, I think, thought, which makes me feel, feeling, which causes me to action. Okay, so I have a couple examples in here. I won't read them all for you, but maybe we'll just talk through the first one. So for example, when it's lunchtime and my kids are hungry, I think, I don't have time to make myself a substantial lunch, which makes me feel frantic and hangry, which causes me to, I don't know, inhale 5 cold chicken nuggets off my kid's plate and call it a day. Anyone else done this? And I just want to say too, like I said before, none of this is a problem until you decide that it is. So if you eat chicken nuggets off your kid's plate every single day and you're cool with that, I'm cool with that. Okay, we don't need to change it until you decide you want to change it. Other examples, if you're just stressed or frustrated during the day, or if you read something online that makes you anxious, probably a lot of us can relate to that one. What do you think? How does that make you feel? And what do you do in response? Okay, so you write out your patterns, try to come up with 3 of them, and then you're going to rewrite them to be new patterns with a better ending. So you're going to start by coming up with a new thought that you could practice thinking, emphasis on the practice, right? And then try to come up with a thought that will trigger the emotion that you're after, allow you to feel that emotion, and hopefully lead to the action that you want. So in our lunch example, It says, next time when it's lunchtime and my kids are hungry, I will practice thinking, hunger is not an emergency and I deserve a good meal, which will help me feel calm and in control and allow me to, this is just an example, snack on raw veggies until the kids are done eating and I have time to prepare a meal I feel good about. Or maybe eat before the kids, something like that. So guys, I want you to notice how you feel when you read these example thoughts. If you think these thoughts are stupid, if they make you roll your eyes, if they're not believable to you, they're not going to work for you, right? So you need to come up with a thought that actually triggers the right feeling for you. And notice too in these examples how the word control comes up a lot. Maybe that's just me, maybe that's just the way I wrote it, but see if the same pops up for you when you do your examples. Because we hate to be out of control, like all humans do. So for me, when I'm thinking about what feeling is coming up for me in these patterns, control comes up a lot. I feel out of control. And then when I rewrite it, I feel in control. So I'm working towards feeling more in control of my emotions and my behaviors. Okay, so take a shot at that, at writing your 3 patterns. Now, as promised, my super stupid trick for dealing with cravings, also not mine. I did not make this up. This is also from Brooke Castillo, and you've also probably seen it all over the place, specifically in preschools. And you've probably done something like this with your kids. It's one of those dumb little tricks. But before I talk about that, let me dig a little bit more into cravings and how we respond to them. So there's 2 typical ways you would respond to a craving, right? You would either give into it, have the thing, or you would resist it. So you would tell yourself no. But there is a third option. It's kind of, may have heard of it before. It's not that out of left field. But the third option is to allow the urge. So allow the feeling without satisfying the urge. I know it sounds like semantics, but it's a big difference psychologically if you think about it. If you resist an urge, if you just say, no, not having the chips, let's get out of the pantry, this isn't happening. That is an intensely negative feeling. As soon as you say no to yourself, you're probably going to want it 100 times more, right? Think about how it goes when you say no to your kids. Their response comes back 10 times stronger and more negative, right? So that's what happens when you try to resist. If you give in, well, it's not the worst thing in the world, right? Occasionally. I told you about my M&Ms, early pandemic days, no regrets. So no big deal. But if it happens constantly, like if we're always giving into our urges, we are going to be left feeling out of control, which we humans hate, or we're going to feel like we can't trust ourselves around food. Okay. And so that's how we get to this point, doing a program like this, where we're like, I feel out of control. I need to rein this in. So neither option is great, right? Either you've got this super negative resisting feeling, which kind of is a doubling down because you already felt bad coming into the craving and you were trying to respond to that bad feeling emotion by resisting, which adds another layer of negativity. So now you feel even worse, right? Or you give in and then you feel good for a few minutes and then you feel bad because you gave in. So none of it is great, right? So option number 3, the allow option, means that you practice just sitting in the feeling. You might have heard that all emotions want is to be let in and heard and understood, right? They're like little people. So just try letting the feelings in rather than resisting them, rather than trying to push them away or cover them up or distract yourself from them. This is something that none of us want to do. Just look the feeling in the eye and say, it's okay, come on in. I'm going to sit here and feel this as long as I need to feel it. And there are a couple helpful tricks for doing this. It helps a lot to describe the physical sensation of the emotion. Like, what do you literally feel in your body when you're having the emotion? Maybe it's a flutter in your stomach, or like a heaviness on your chest, or your throat feels tight. Whatever it is, if you're thinking about that aspect of it, it helps to make it feel a little more tangible, takes the power away a little bit. And it also helps you realize that, you know, a feeling can't hurt you, right? It feels terrible, feels really bad, but it won't kill you, technically, ever. Okay, so those are the 3 approaches you have. The third one being more difficult to learn, but the best one, ideally. Okay, so my trick, my dumb trick. Let me bring it in here. Here it is. So this is my Urge jar. I guess Urge jars. There's 2 of them. But I went to Michael's like a year and a half ago, way pre-COVID. I bought this for like $5. It's got these pretty little stones in it. It's like a little purple one and a little blue one. They're all different shades of my favorite color. And so all you do then is anytime you have an urge, so this sits on my kitchen counter, kind of like right by the fridge. It's in plain view. And then anytime I have an urge and I decide to allow it, so I'm not resisting it and I'm not giving into it, I just take a little stone and I drop it in the other jar. And I know that is so dumb, but you guys, it is weirdly powerful. Like I don't know if it's just that it's enough to redirect your brain to just say, oh, reaching for chips. Oh, or I can go put a stone in a jar. It's just enough to kind of snap you out of it. And it's just this really powerful feeling for your brain to fill up this jar. It really is. It works. I was driving home the other day from the grocery store and I was starving and I had all this food next to me on the seat. I thought about ripping open a bag of something and starting to snack on it, but I knew we were going to have dinner the minute I walked in the door. And I was thinking, you can totally open up those chips and snack on them, or do you want to go home and put a stone in the jar? Like, honestly, I thought this just the other day and it was enough. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get some more stones in there because it's kind of fun to see it fill up. If you're laughing, I understand, because when I first heard this, I thought it was the dumbest thing in the world too. But I tried it, and for me, it really helps me a lot to buy this little jar with pretty stones in it, because you can do this with anything, right? You could use paper clips. You could even just get out a piece of paper and put tallies on it every time you allow an urge. So it doesn't have to be fancy, but for me, this was really extra rewarding to have something cute to work with. And I want to say too, this is positive reinforcement only. So if you try to resist an urge, or if you give in to an urge instead of allowing, you don't take a stone out and put it back. Stones are only going in. And if you want some kind of reward, if you get a certain number of stones or tallies, you can do that. Ideally not. Ideally, just the urges building up, the urges that you've allowed is reward enough, but you can attach a reward to it if you want. Oh, and so the urge can be anything you want it to be, right? There are no rules about what counts as an urge. Like I've put like 5 stones in a 5-minute period because I have decided that I wanted to stop eating something, thought about going in for just one more bite, caught myself, allowed the urge, didn't eat the bite and put a stone in, and then wanted another bite. So, I mean, this can be as little as you want it to be. It doesn't have to be like, I will not have dessert, period, 1 stone. It could be, you're full and you're done with dinner, but it was really good and you want to eat some more. It could be that you don't finish those last 5 bites on your plate. So however you want, whatever this means to you. So just come up with something like this. We are going to try this next week as part of our plan, our final plan. The urge jar is in there. So you can get some kind of some jar situation, or you can do the tallies. You can make it really simple. I'm sure creative people out there can come up with other awesome ideas. This is not like I don't have teacher blood in me. So this isn't my thing, but this is really fun for me to do. Works well. Yeah, so that's it for today. You need to write out your 3 patterns, rewrite them. The star of the rewrite is that new thought that you're going to practice thinking whenever you run into that same situation. See if you can redirect it down a new road. And then figure out what you're going to use for your urge jar next week. All right, so let me know what you think about this idea, guys, and let me know if you have any other ideas for how to execute this. Maybe you've tried something like this before. Maybe you have a creative way to go about it. I would love to hear your ideas. All right, but that's it for today. Thank you, guys. Have a great day, and I will see you next time.